College football is here. The video game is back today. SEC Media Days going on. We are going to cover it all here on College Football Now. And if you want more college football content than ever before from Chat Sports, you need to subscribe to the channel. Last time we did a call to action, we picked up 70 subs. And the bosses tell me we can do another college football video this week if we pick up 100 subs here on the channel. Stay up to date. Conference realignment, recruiting, transfer portal, NIL, and more right here on College Football Now by Chat Sports. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/chatsportstv, and we'll get started with today's show. Coming up on College Football Now, could Texas A&M be headed to the Big Ten? We will explain the latest rumors on the Aggies in College Station coming up in just a bit. Also, Florida State and Clemson, are they headed to the Big 12 Conference? We got some news to get to on those two programs coming up in just a matter of moments. Let's begin with the Texas A&M Aggies. According to a new report, Texas A&M has been in discussions about possibly joining the Big Ten Conference. This comes from Greg Swaim of KSPI in Stillwater. And I'll tell you this before we get to the quote from Greg Swaim here in just a moment, that you kind of take this with a grain of salt, if you will, as Greg Swaim has been very hit and miss with his reporting over the years on conference realignment. But nonetheless, this is what Swaim had to say. Received an email 10 minutes ago from our Chicago Big Ten source that said the Big Ten will definitely have a Texas school by 2026. As we reported months ago, Texas A&M and the Big Ten have had serious third-party talks for over 6 months. Now, I just don't believe this for a second. I don't think there's any chance that Texas A&M is leaving the SEC for the Big Ten. And I know this comes on the heels of Texas and Oklahoma officially joining the Southeastern Conference this month. And A&M has every right to be pissed, as they were promised that Texas would never be allowed to join the SEC, that this was going to be the thing that stuck out to them compared to Texas, was being a part of the best conference in all of college football. And now the brother of theirs that they tried to stay away from quite some time is all of a sudden right back in their backyard again. So although the SEC didn't keep up their end of the bargain, I still would be surprised if A&M made a move whatsoever, and here's why. Number one, they're a culture fit in this league. Texas A&M has fully embraced the SEC, it just means more mantra, and what that league has to offer, being right there in the footprint of the Southeastern Conference. They have natural rivals in the SEC. Texas on board now, Arkansas, LSU. They have significant history now with Oklahoma and Missouri, along with the other friends they've made along the way since they joined the SEC. Travel. With them being right there in the footprint, their longest trip of any team they face is South Carolina. Comparatively speaking, if they were to make a move to the Big Ten, you'd be talking about them having to play games in Southern California or in the Pacific Northwest or going up to Rutgers and stuff like that. It just doesn't make sense from that travel standpoint like they have in the SEC. And then money. Although the Big Ten in the new TV contracts will be making more than the SEC will, it's only a matter of time before the SEC gets theirs as well, and you'll always be taken care of. Money will never be an issue in the SEC for Texas A&M. Bottom line, you look at the Aggies with what they've invested. This program has more money than God, folks. When you look at their facilities and their boosters and their resources, everything is there for Texas A&M to compete for championships. They just got to find the right head coach to do it. Is Mike Elko that guy? That remains to be seen. Jimbo Fisher obviously wasn't that guy. They just got to figure out the coach. It's not the conference, it's the coach that A&M needs to figure out next. Our pinned comment today: will Texas A&M leave the SEC for the Big Ten? Type Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Let's shift gears now to Florida State and Clemson. The ongoing saga between these two programs as they face a legal fight to try to get out of the ACC. And as we've told you previously here on College Football Now, all momentum is going their direction in those legal pursuits. So then, where to next? According to multiple reports, there is an internal belief that Florida State and Clemson, when it's all said and done, will join the Big 12 Conference. This coming from Jason Scheer, who covers Arizona for Rivals, putting out last night. According to sources, there is an internal belief that the Big 12, that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference within the next year or so. Now, the question that people have to be asking themselves is, when you look at the situation in the Big 12 compared to what those two teams are in the ACC right now, does it make financial sense if you're not going to go to the SEC or Big Ten, if you can't get into one of those two leagues, for those two teams to jump ship to the Big 12? Andy Staples of On3 saying the following: if you could get into the Big Ten or SEC, yes, you would make enough money. You would break even for a little while, and then you would make even more money down the road. So that makes financial sense. I don't know if the Big 12 makes financial sense. Well, here is how the Big 12 makes financial sense, folks. Remember all those discussions a month ago about private equity in the Big 12 Conference? It feels like it's not a matter of if, but when the Big 12 will be on board with private equity. And the hope is that with the private equity, that the Big 12 gets the cash flow they need to be on par with the Big 10 and the SEC. And if you get that cash flow coming in, essentially private equity can make that investment to give the Big 12 the money to be able to bring in a Florida State and a Clemson. And then at that point, after a few years in the league, when you're up for TV contracts again, you can expect that the Big 12 would receive a significant pay raise with those schools on board as well. More on Florida State and Clemson coming up in just a moment, but let's ask you guys, will the Big 12 add FSU and Clemson? Type A for add, P for pass. Weigh in, let us know what you think. Got a great deal we're offering right now, folks, as we have college football gear of all sorts of teams across the country for 50% off right now, up to 50% off while supplies last. Go see for yourself, chatsports.com/CFB sale. Also got some free shipping on certain products as well. Go see for yourself, chatsports.com/CFB sale. You can see the other college football gear we're selling as well. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Ross Dellenger of Yahoo Sports did some extensive reporting on Florida State and Clemson over the last couple of days. And according to Dellenger, Florida State and Clemson have a three-step plan in place for when they figure out the lawsuit situation, when the legalese plays out of what they want to do next. The number one option for Florida State and Clemson would be that they would hope to join the SEC or the Big Ten. We've heard reports as of late that the SEC isn't so interested. Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner at SEC Media Days, said today that they're focused on the 16 schools that they have and that they are not recruiting. The Big Ten seems like a long shot at this point. The second option, according to Dellenger, was to create a reformed ACC with less teams, not the 18 teams that they have right now, with less teams splitting the money. So kind of cut the fat, if you will, in a new look ACC. And then if that plan can't work out, which also seems unlikely because trying to get everybody out of their grant of rights and being lockstep in the same page doesn't seem that likely, option 3 would be joining the Big 12 Conference. And of all the options for Florida State and Clemson, that appears to be the most likely of those three at this point in time. Obviously, this is an evolving thing. These things can change, but at least at the moment, all the momentum appears to be towards that third option of going to the Big 12. And you listen to Brett Yormark, the constant theme that the Big 12 commissioner has pushed over the last couple of years, and even most recently at Big 12 Media Days last week, was that the Big 12 Conference is open for business. And Brett Yormark has said that he is not stopping until the Big 12 is the number one conference in the country. And Florida State and Clemson, adding those schools, would certainly help his case and his cause to get the Big 12 to where they want to go. Yormark saying the following last week at Big 12 Media Days on the conference's future. We solidified ourselves as one of the top 3 conferences in America. There has never been a better time than right now to be a part of the Big 12. We are truly a national conference in 10 states, 4 time zones, and all eyes are on the Big 12 for all the right reasons. I think it's safe to say we are more relevant now than ever before. Yormark went on to say that the Big 12 right now is the deepest conference in the country, top to bottom. Adding Florida State and Clemson guarantees the Big 12 a seat at the big boy table. And you would expect more to come as well with additional teams. We'll talk about those in just a second here. But you think about this. In this world of college football where we've talked about the Super League or the Big Two, if you will, with the SEC and the Big Ten having all the cards, Florida State and Clemson have both won national titles within the last decade. Both of them are 2 of the biggest brands in all of college football. And you cannot go forward as a sport without these 2 being a part of the equation here. If you're the Big 12, with what you already have with your 16 members, with what they've grown and added the 4 corner schools, Florida State and Clemson keeps the Big 12 right there to have a seat at the table, to not be an afterthought, if you will. If you bring in those 2 programs, you'll belong there and you're not going anywhere. That's how important adding those 2 teams could be for Brett Yormark and company. McIver, MH version 3, who has been all over social media the last couple of years. He broke the news that USC and UCLA were going to the Big Ten, and he also was all over the 4 corner schools going to the Big 12 and more. He put this out just a couple days ago. If Florida State and Clemson do come on board, then look for NC State and Virginia Tech to be coming with them. And I know a lot of Big 12 fans have asked about Miami or Pitt or some of these others, but according to MH version 3, those appear to be the favorites to join Florida State and Clemson if they make that move. Which teams will join the Big 12 next? Will it be Florida State and Clemson? Will we see Virginia Tech and NC State? Could Miami be a part of the fold? What do you guys think? Get your predictions in now. Let us know in the comments section. For continuing college football coverage, lock us in. Subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time here on College Football Now.